My name is Jennifer Shoemaker. I'm the program manager for the Lead Center at Outreach, formerly EOTC. The overview of the typical individual we serve is someone who has incarceration on their record. We typically work over at Lackawanna County Prison where we meet someone, and then our hope is to follow them up with them at the Outreach Center. Once they come to the Outreach Center, we're able to get a clear picture of some of the barriers they have that are working against them when released. So some of the barriers that we work with is transportation, housing, and educational setbacks. And we meet with the person where they're at and try to develop a strategic plan on how we can come up with a plan of action in order to get them employed and then sustaining themselves individually. Um, People change. I think that's one of the biggest parts of our mission is that we meet people where they're at and we understand that they can change. And we have a great relationship with those people, and I find I'm very lucky to be able to meet people where they're at and help them move in their direction in life. So this leads me into the part where I've met James.
Well, my name's Jameson Jarris. I was incarcerated in October 27th, 2018. And I was locked up for 16 months for drug related charges. I've been using drugs since I was 15 years old. I'm 33 now. Uh, I'm in recovery. And I started using meth when I was real young, and it got progressively worse. Uh, Led me down a really bad path. Got caught up, got a federal indictment, and then I went to prison. And I had the pleasure of meeting everybody at Outreach. I started going to classes, just trying to get into a routine at prison, and it was uh, it was the best thing I could ever done to get my life back on track. Well, the main reason I signed up for classes was to get off the block. It was I just wanted to get out of there, and then I realized how beneficial the classes could be. One of the first classes was a health and wellness class. Just it's a lot of basics, but it I needed that. I needed that structure back in my life. I needed to get that I don't know, I just needed to get my life restructured and get back on track, and you helped me out a lot with that.
So that's kind of where outreach steps in. That initial meet and greet, we get to meet somebody where they're at, like I said, when they're incarcerated. No judgment, um, no jokes, just let's get to know each other and let's say where we're at and how we can help you. James just wanted to be part of something and part of something bigger than a jail cell or part of something bigger than someone who's has a drug addiction issue, and somebody who just wanted to be something bigger for himself and his family. So a little bit of background on James. James, what's a little bit of your background too, as far as not only job experience, but educationally, if you want to share?
Sure. I went to Elk Lake Senior High School. I was in the VOTEC program for food management for 4 years, and then from there, I went to Pennsylvania College of Technology. I got my bachelor's degree in culinary arts, my associate's degree in hospitality management. I did 8 years in the military as a cook as well, and I own a food truck, and I have for the past 7 years. But I'm in a kitchen now, and which is great because that's what I love to do. And I'm also at a custom butchering place.
Whoever would have thought, most people's viewpoints, um, that somebody with those credentials and that experience in education is in jail. Um, that's who's in jail. So I knew we had to get our work together and figure out a good place. And part of my responsibility too is because I get to know people so well, I can also get an understanding of what is going to be a healthy environment to get this person a job and what job's going to be healthy for them, because a job is a job, but not all jobs are healthy. So we did a little homework, and I had a friend that was part of a meal prep program that delivered pre-made meals to people that were primarily into the fitness community. I knew likely that was going to be a pretty healthy environment to send someone who has had, substance use issues and who's trying to stay away from any negativity. So what we did at the Lead Center, which is what I do for everybody, is we did a resume right on the spot.
Mhm.
Our resume was going to showcase James's educational experience, work history, veteran experience, and we were able to get together that resume for you. I think we did some mock interviews, which we do at Outreach as well, and I think we addressed the main issue, which is going to come up, and it's like the elephant in the room, but we can't hide from it, is when somebody asks you, do you have a criminal record?
I went into the interview. He looked at my resume. He liked it. He asked me flat out, what were your charges? And I told him they were drug related. And he's like, okay, you're hired. And he hired me right on the spot. I went in there with the confidence, though, that I wanted that job.
With James's experience, it was a pretty easy sell. I mean, we have somebody with years of experience, not only in the food preparation industry, but management industry. And
So
then,
can I
yeah,
chime in?
yeah.
So one of the things I had one of the trials I had to go through was, you know, what about transportation? What am I gonna? These are like some of the barriers I had to deal with. Uh, Job searching. I mean, we hit the nose on the head with with the job search. But as far as transportation and getting there, I
And I
mean, you
think you
guys.
were not familiar with the area as
No,
well.
no, and we sat down and we looked at Colts,
The bus, yes.
Colts bus service, public transportation. Uh, I was just walking everywhere, and I was living at the halfway house at the time. I had to spend a couple months there, uh, and we sat down. We looked over the bus schedule. She gave me some bus passes, uh, and then I just started using the bus. And then I eventually got my license back, and I started driving to work.
And I will say James doesn't give himself enough credit because all within, what, a week or two, you secured your driver's license back. You got your social security card back in the mail. What would you like to tell employers? What would you like them to think differently if they're interviewing somebody with a criminal history? Like, how do you want them to look at someone rather than just, okay, check a box?
Look at them as a person, like give them that respect, to give them a chance, because you don't know what you're gonna find. you know i I could have been anybody off the street, but I they gave me a chance, and that's what I would say to them. We're people too.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I messed up big in my life for a lot of years, but now I know I'm the James I need to be.
Yeah.
And that's what excites me every day I wake up, and wake up sober, and it's a great feeling. And I think there's a lot of other people out there that want that same opportunity. They just need to be given that chance.
Yeah. I agree. Some words of advice for employers is to really just treat somebody as an individual and give second chances. Everybody's capable and willing of change, and we're a big believer at Outreach that someone's already paid the price. They've already you know did their time. So to have to continue to re-victimize somebody in a way with just limiting them from an employment option it's just not fair. And I mean, we have quality employees with great skills that just happen to have something on their record.
So Tom, the another counselor, he was teaching us one day in class about federal bonding, and it's where uh, people who are incarcerated can get employment at certain jobs and be federally bonded, and it's kind of like an insurance policy for them to take them on. Uh, I didn't have to do. I wasn't a part of that, but I mean, there are definitely jobs out there that would
Absolutely.
require that. I don't know if
100%. So the federal bonding, just like James said, it's open to many people, not just people that have been incarcerated, but also individuals with substance use disorder, veterans, gaps in history. And then there's also the federal tax credit, which is also, again, an incentive for employers that if they were to take somebody that had an incarceration, they would actually receive a tax credit at the end of the year. So there's incentives to employers, and to no fault of their own, they're not aware of these incentives. And luckily, they have people like myself and James now, who's like an ambassador for this. We're able to speak with employers and give them that information, provide them with a little insight, and a lot of times then a little feeling of, maybe a little sense of well-being then. Again, not to say something's going to happen, but sometimes when you have something put in place, It helps people feel a little bit more, relaxed when it comes to taking on an individual, maybe for their first time, who has incarceration. And it, I think, helps open the door to many other people. My advice I would give to a job seeker reentering is be motivated, never give up, stay positive, and really believe that you have the skills that the next person in line has for that job. There's no question, there's no doubt. Just believe in your qualities, believe in, your resume, sell yourself, and just be you. I think most people present best in an interview if they're just genuine. Your genuine self is usually the most believable self, and it's actually the most appreciated self. So I always tell people just go in, be honest, be vulnerable. And most times there's a relatability to the person interviewing from the employer. They probably have experienced that themselves in their own family. So I think the genuineness and just being open and honest is one of the biggest, you know, positives someone can do when they're reentering. Own it. You have to own. We own our scars, we own our flaws, and we own our possibilities. Everybody deserves a second chance. Hear their story, look at their skills, look at their capabilities. And I always say to employers when I do talk to them, normally if you're giving a person with an incarceration a second chance and you're giving them an opportunity to work for you, they'll be your best worker you've ever had, because they understand that there's obstacles against them and that there's judgment. And normally somebody who, understands those things, they're going to be going the extra mile. And they will do everything that they can to learn new things, do new things, um, work all the shifts that somebody else maybe doesn't want to work, just because, they want to show that they are this person, not the person that was, in jail a year ago.